Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Joan Lenahan Field here in Bedford, Nova Scotia, as we get ready for the 3:30 game. And we're actually going to be starting maybe a minute or two early, but we'll definitely be at the very least on time, which is more than we can say for the Robert Lenahan Field. They are a little bit behind schedule. Their game between Manitoba and Quebec number 2, which was scheduled for 3 o'clock, is not going to get going for probably another 15, 20 minutes or maybe 10 more minutes or so, as the game prior to that between Nova Scotia 2 and Prince Edward Island ended up running a little bit long. So they're a bit behind schedule over on Robert Lenahan, while here on Joan Lenahan we are on time. We've got a couple of Pool B games going on right now. The Saskatchewan and BC game on this field. BC leading the group right now with a record of 2-0. Saskatchewan with a record of 1-1. While on the other diamond, it will be Quebec 2 with a record of 1-1, taking on Manitoba with a record of 0-2. And both of these games very crucial for the overall outcome of the tournament. As we got a umpiring change, I notice out there, and we'll have to. So we'll make a note of that real quick. The umps who were listed for this game are not the umps who we have out there. So we'll just make a note of that real quick. The behind the plate, it will be Skylar Blanchette, and that does remain the same. On first base, though, the ump that we had listed is not the umpire out there. It's Joel Rogers from up Pictou County way, my neck of the woods. And over at third base, it is Cameron Gallant. So just the one change amongst our umpires. This game, as mentioned, Saskatchewan versus BC. Saskatchewan is the visiting team in this game, so they will bat first. Let's take you through their lineup. Caitlin Tarasoff, the center fielder, will bat first. Kira Comfort playing left field, bats second. Clara Plain, the pitcher, bats third. Middle of the order, 4, 5, and 6. Mackenzie Fredlin, the shortstop. Claudia Lammers, the second baseman. Lauren Owens, the first baseman. And then batting seventh, it's Jocelyn Arthur out in right field. Third baseman Jacene Wilms bats eighth, and batting ninth is the catcher Amy Johnson. Defensively for British Columbia to start the game, it's Amelia Russo out in left field. Rachel Tam will be in center. Vanessa McKinley in right. The infield from third to first, Keegan Wong, Rain Pajam, Cheyenne Simicak, and Juliette Kladko. Behind the plate, it's Ashley Lawson, and Tess Sawkins gets the start for BC as the starting pitcher as we get this game underway here at 3:25 p.m. And there we go, swing and a miss. And there we are underway with that swing and miss by Caitlin Tarasoff. And this game is going. Tarasoff fouls that one back, and the count 0-2. BC, as mentioned, have a record of 2-0. They beat Quebec 2 by a score of 21-11 yesterday. They then played Manitoba last night, won that game by a score of 7-0. 1-2 now the count on Tarasoff as that pitch misses high. For the starting pitcher, Sawkins, this is her first pitching appearance in the tournament, and she starts off by getting Tarasoff to strike out. So Tarasoff 0 for 1. That'll bring up Kira Comfort for the 1-1 Saskatchewan team. Saskatchewan beat Manitoba by a score of 9-2 in their opener. They then dropped their second game against Quebec 2 13-6 earlier this morning. Comfort standing in, and for Comfort so far on the tournament, she's 3 for 8. There's a grounder down to first, gathered up, and taking it to the bag herself is Kladko for out number 2, a quick 2 up, 2 down, and that'll bring up Clara Plain. Plain 0 for 8 so far on the tournament, but she does have an RBI and a walk in 9 plate appearances. Plain coming up here with nobody on and 2 away. First pitch to Plain misses outside, and that is ball 1. So first pitch again came at 3:25, 5 minutes ahead of schedule for those of you who care about such things. There's a grounder down to third, gathered up, throw across in time. So a quick 1-2-3, top of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played half an inning and no score between Saskatchewan and British Columbia. Let's take you through the BC batting order. It'll be Rain Padgham, the shortstop, leading off. Batting second, playing second base, Cheyenne Simicak. Batting third, playing third base, Keegan Wong. In the cleanup spot, it will be the catcher, Ashley Lawson. Batting fifth, the extra hitter, Cameron Grayson. Batting sixth, the starting pitcher, Tess Sawkins. Batting seventh, playing left field, Amelia Russo. Batting eighth, playing center field, Rachel Tam. The ninth batter is the first baseman, Juliette Kladko. And batting 10th, playing right field, Vanessa McKinley. Taking a look at the Saskatchewan defense. In the outfield from left to right, it's Kira Comfort, Caitlin Tarasoff, and Jocelyn Arthur. Around the infield from third to first, it's Jacene Wilms, Mackenzie Fredland, Claudia Lammers, and Lauren Owens. Behind the plate, Amy Johnson. And out on the mound, Clara Plain getting the start in this one, and I believe this is Plain's first pitching appearance. It is indeed. Tarasoff pitched 6 2/3 innings in her start in the game against Quebec earlier today. Mackenzie Fredland, 9 innings in her, Caitlin Tarasoff's 6 2/3 innings came across both games. She pitched in both of the games for Saskatchewan so far. Fredland pitched 5 innings in her start yesterday in that victory over Manitoba and picked up the win. So this, again, the first pitching appearance in this tournament for Plain, and the first batter that she will face will be Rain Padgham. Padgham will come in with a batting average of .429, 3 for 7 with 2 doubles and a home run so far on the tournament. Padgham also has reached by way of the walk twice, so an on-base percentage of .556 and a slugging percentage of 1.14. An absolutely phenomenal OPS of 1.698. Kind of numbers you almost never see at any level of baseball. And the first pitch to Padgham misses outside, 1-0 the count. As we get the 1-0 delivery, there's a called strike, and the count quickly goes to 1-1. Again, the game between Quebec 2 and Manitoba, which will help to determine the final standings in this group, will be getting started over on the Robert Lenihan Field in a few minutes. That pitch missed, and the count now 2-1. On what has become a bright and sunny day here in Bedford. For those of you not familiar with the geography, Bedford, a bedroom community of Halifax in a lot of senses. It is part of the Halifax Regional Municipality. That one misses low, and the count runs full, 3-2. Padgham, the right-handed hitting shortstop, standing in. Swings and puts that one down the third base line, but just foul. And the count will remain 3-2. As we have a warm and humid day here in Bedford. There's another foul, and we're about to get the 8th pitch of this at-bat here for Padgham to see, coming from the delivery of Plain, and finally Padgham wins the battle with the walk. That'll bring up Cheyenne Simicak. She's 2 for 3 on the tournament. 3 RBI, 2 runs scored. And a throw over to first. And getting back in safely is Padgham. Plain, the right-hander, takes a look over at first. Gets herself set, and now she'll deliver. And that'll be sent out to left field. Comfort coming in to make the catch. For out number 1, that'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong, 4 for 8 on the tournament. A double, a triple, 1 RBI, 4 runs scored. Of the 4 times she was recorded as out, 2 of them she actually ended up reaching base anyway by way of error. So she's been on base several times throughout this tournament. That one misses in the dirt, and the count goes to 1-0 on Wong. With Padgham still at first base and now 1 away. Plain takes a quick glance over at first. Runner going, swing and a miss. Throw down to second, not quite in time. And Padgham will get in with the stolen base, and the count goes to 1-1. And now with the runner in scoring position, the Saskatchewan outfield adjusting the defense slightly. The center fielder shifting a little bit more towards right. Left fielder taking a few steps back. Meanwhile, the infield playing pretty much straight away. Swung on and missed there. And that will bring the count to 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. As Plain delivers. That one fouled off. Up and out of play into the parking lot area. And the count remains 2-2. As British Columbia's batters here in the early going, forcing Plain to use a lot of pitches here, a lot getting fouled off. There's a slap out to right field. Rounding third and heading for home is Padgham. Wong, meanwhile, stops at first with the RBI single. And it is 1-0 in favor of British Columbia here in the bottom of the first inning. That'll bring up Ashley Lowson. Lowson went 4 for 8 so far in the tournament. 3 singles and a double. 2 RBI, 3 runs scored, as well as a walk. Throw over to first. Comes in a little bit high. But Wong able to get back. Lowson, the right-hander, stands in. Takes a pitch on the outside corner, and the count goes to 0-1. That one popped up right side or right side of the infield. Coming in to make the catch is Owens. And that's 2 away. That'll bring up Cameron Grayson. Grayson 4 for 5 so far on the tournament. 2 RBI, 2 runs scored. She also reached by getting hit by a pitch once and by walking once. So her on-base percentage, .857 so far. Grayson, the extra hitter in the BC lineup in this game. Throw down to second, and a runner caught stealing. What a throw from Johnson down to second base for the third out. So Grayson will be back up at the plate to start the second inning after a great toss from Dawson to get out, or Johnson, excuse me, to get out number 3. 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, nobody left on base. And through 1 complete inning, British Columbia leads Saskatchewan by a score of 1-0. Due up in the top of the second, it'll be Mackenzie Fredland, Claudia Lammers, and Lauren Owens for the team in green and white. BC wearing blue with white letters, red trim, white and red striping along the sleeves as well. Saskatchewan, of course, in their familiar green and white with yellow accent color scheme. As we look over at the other field, Robert Lenahan Field, the game between Manitoba and Quebec number 2 is now underway. They're into the top of the first there, just getting going. Quebec 2 is the home team for that game. And we will keep you apprised of what's going on in that game and what it could mean potentially for the standings. It's pretty simple in one respect. If BC win and Quebec win, then BC's 3-0, Quebec is 2-1, Saskatchewan's 1-2, Manitoba's 0-3, and everything is very straightforward. If Saskatchewan win this game and Manitoba win the other game, it's still somewhat straightforward, as there are 2 teams at 2-1. They both advance to the upper bracket, playoffs to determine 1 through 6, and the 2 teams that are 1-2, which would be Manitoba and Quebec 2, would end up being in the playoffs for the spots 7 through 12. There's a first pitch strike to Fredland, and the count goes to 0-1. And we'll give you Fredland's tournament so far at the plate. She's 2 for 8, a single, a double, 2 RBI so far on the tournament. That one just misses, and the count goes to 1-1. If, however, BC wins and Manitoba wins, then you've got BC at 3-0 and 3 teams at 1-2. Unassisted ground out to first for the first out of the inning. Or likewise, if Saskatchewan wins and Quebec wins, you've got 3 teams at 2-1 and 1 team at 0-3. And then you get into all kinds of tiebreaker scenarios as to how that might play out. Claudia Lammers comes up now with 1 out in the first, shows bunt, stabs at it but misses, and the count goes to 0-1. Lammers 1 for 5 on the tournament so far. She's also walked once and come around to score once. Lammers down in the count now, 0-1. Swinging away, grounder to third, throw across the diamond in time, as Wong right on target with that throw. And that makes it 2 away for Lauren Owens. Owens 0 for 6 so far on the tournament. She's reached base once by way of the walk. Still looking for her first hit. And sends this one foul the opposite way. Behind in the count, 0-1. As the left-hander sets and fires. And that one misses. The count now 1-1. Sawkins, left-handed pitcher. Pretty straightforward delivery. Not a whole lot of wasted movement. That one fouled off, and the count now 1-2. Grounder, right side of the infield. Second baseman bobbles, however, as Simikak had a little bit of trouble picking that one up, and Owens will reach on the error. That will extend the inning for Jocelyn Arthur. Arthur getting her first plate appearance of this tournament. coming up here with 1 on and 2 out here in inning number 2. Swung on and missed. And ahead in the count, quickly 0-1 is Sawkins. Swung on and fouled off this time as Arthur gets a piece of that one. And the count goes to 0-2. The 0-2 pitch, that misses high, and it's now 1-2. Again, still plenty to be decided here in Group B, as the top 2 places will still have a chance to play for a national title. There's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Arthur goes down swinging, no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. We've played 1.5. British Columbia leading it 1-0. Due up for BC in the bottom of inning number 2. It'll be Cameron Grayson, Tess Sawkins, and Amelia Russo. Actually, they're calling that a hit, apparently, not an error. So, apparently for Owens, that was a single, not an error on the second baseman. So for BC again, it'll be Cameron Grayson leading off. She was on base when Keegan Wong was caught stealing to end inning number 1. So because her at-bat got interrupted, she'll be back out there to lead off inning number 2. They're into the bottom of the first over on Robert Lenahan Field. Still no score. Manitoba and Quebec 2. And again, we'll as Grayson comes back up for her second time in air quotes. And here comes the pitch from Plain. Swung on and missed, and the count goes to 0-1. There's a swinging strike, and the count 0-2 here quickly, as Plain working pretty efficiently. Swung on and just getting a piece of it to stay alive there was Grayson. Yes. Meanwhile, I'm just pulling up the official Baseball Canada rules and scrolling through to find the tiebreaker section. In case that does come into play. And there's a strikeout as Grayson goes down. First strikeout for Plain, and that'll bring up Tess Sawkins. Sawkins 1 for 5 with an RBI, 3 runs scored, as she's reached on errors twice and also walked once. The left-hander steps in with 1 away and nobody on here in the bottom of the second. British Columbia with run in the bottom of the first. There's a high chopper to second base, handled nicely by the second baseman Lammers for the second out. That'll bring up Russo with 2 down. Amelia Russo on the tournament so far, 0 for 4. Couple of walks though to get on base. Comes up here with nobody on and 2 away. First pitch to Russo from plane, misses outside, ball 1. Now the 1-0. Driven out to left field, but just foul. As Russo came around on that one and pulled it, but a little bit too far ahead of the pitch, pulling it foul down that left field line. 1-1 now the count on the BC left fielder. Curveball in for a strike, and the count goes to 1-2. Plain pulling the string on that one to get ahead in the count. And here comes the 1-2. Called strike 3. 2 Ks in the inning for Plain. She gets Grayson and Russo to strike out, and that sandwiched around a ground out to second base. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played 2 complete innings, and the score remains British Columbia leading Saskatchewan 1-0. Due up in the top of the third. It's 8-9-1 for Saskatchewan. Jacene Wilms, Amy Johnson, then back around to the top of the order for Caitlin Tarasoff. As back out there for another inning of work, it is Sawkins. On this again, kind of muggy. Warm day here in Bedford. A reminder, if you're going to be coming down to the field to catch the action, make sure you come prepared to stay hydrated. We do have a fantastic canteen here on site with plenty available to help make sure that you can stay hydrated here at the site. And here comes Jacene Wilms. Wilms 0 for 1. Struck out in her only previous plate appearance in this tournament through the first 2 games. Wilms, the righty, stepping in to face the left-handed throwing pitcher, Sawkins, and the first pitch to Wilms misses low, ball 1. Bit of a breeze blowing from almost in straight away from right field. That one misses as well, and the count now 2-0 for Wilms. Amy Johnson, the catcher for Saskatchewan, in the on-deck circle. That one sent out to right field. It'll get all the way to the wall. Wilms rounds first. She's going to head in for second, but she'll get gunned down as a good, strong throw from the right fielder, Vanessa McKinley, right on target to Padgham, and Padgham able to make the tag. So Wilms with the single, cut down, trying to stretch it into a double, and that'll bring up Amy Johnson. Johnson 2 for 4 on the tournament, a single, a double, 1 RBI, 4 runs scored. She's also reached base 3 other times, once hit by pitch, twice by way of error. Hence the ability to score 4 runs. That one to Johnson misses low. And the count 1-0. There's a strike, and the count now 1-1. What a great throw out from right field there. Right on target from McKinley. That pitch misses high, and the count 2-1. As McKinley with the laser beam, able to get Wilms out there. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2-2. That one catches the bottom of the zone. Johnson caught looking, third strikeout for Sawkins, and that brings us back around to the top of the order for Caitlin Tarasoff. Tarasoff, one of those 3 strikeout victims so far. Tarasoff from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. 17 years old. First pitch to her misses. And yes, she is 17. This is a 16U tournament, but the birth date cutoff is such that players can have their 17th birthday and still be eligible to play. Depends on when in the year that birthday is. Tarasoff sends it out to left field. Great effort by Russo to try and get that ball, but it ends up falling in, and so Tarasoff will get the 2-out double. Great effort by Russo. Just not quite able to get her glove on it. That'll bring up Kira Comfort. Comfort from Nipawin, Saskatchewan. Another 17-year-old on this pretty veteran lineup for Saskatchewan. A lot of the other teams have, a number of 13, 14-year-olds. Saskatchewan laden with 16 and 17-year-olds. Just 3 that are 15 and 1 14. First pitch to Comfort misses outside, and as it gets away from the catcher Lawson, Tarasoff able to get down to third. Now that one sent way up high, and it comes down just missing a truck that was driving along the road right next to the diamond there. As we've already had one broken window in a vehicle today. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2. And we nearly had an incident there with a vehicle that was actually in motion. Another one fouled back, not too far from another parked vehicle. And this one pulled foul as Comfort extending this at bat with a number of pitches fouled off, getting deeper into the pitch count of Sawkins here. She's up to 40 pitches here through 2 2/3 innings. Swung on and missed for strike 3. 4 Ks now for Sawkins through 3 innings. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We've played 2.5. Saskatchewan continues to trail BC by a score of 2-0, pun not intended. Due up for British Columbia in the bottom of the third. It's the bottom 3 batters in the order, 8, 9, and 10, Rachel Tam, Juliette Kladko, and Vanessa McKinley. Meanwhile, next door, they're into the top of the second, and Manitoba, Quebec still looking for the first run in that game. While here we're heading into the bottom of the third. And again, it will be Rachel Tam leading off. Tam will come up with a .400 batting average, 2 for 5 so far in the tournament, a single, a double, 6 RBI, and 2 runs scored. Tam actually leading Team BC in RBI with 6. As Tam steps in, we'll remind you there's a chance to make this broadcast interactive. send me a tweet or send me a message on Facebook. Search for Petter Picto Sports, either through Facebook or through Twitter. That's Petter, P-E-T-T-E-R, Picto, P-I-C-T-O-U, Sports. And let me know where you're watching from and whatnot, who you're cheering for. If you want to give a special mention to a particular player, we can certainly throw that on as well. That one sent foul the opposite way. And the count on Tam, 1-2. Again, that's Petter, P-E-T-T-E-R, Picto, P-I-C-T-O-U, Sports. Swinging third strike, but the ball did touch the dirt, so Tam made her way down towards first base. Johnson able to get the throw down easily for the putout. One away, third strikeout for Plain, and that'll bring up Juliet Kladko. Kladko on the tournament to this point, 2 for 7 with a home run, 3 RBI, 2 runs scored. And that home run came in the game yesterday out at Weirfield. There's a great catch by Kira Comfort coming in to get the second out of the inning, and that'll bring up Vanessa McKinley. McKinley 2 for 3 with a pair of singles, 1 RBI, 2 runs scored. She also reached base by getting hit by a pitch once. So a .750 on base percentage. Grounds that one right at the shortstop. Gathered up, and Fredlund makes the throw across in time. Good strong arm there for Mackenzie Fredlund to get the third out of the inning. 3 up, 3 down, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We've played 3 complete innings, and British Columbia leads it 1-0. Due up in the top of the 4th for Saskatchewan. It's the pitcher, Clara Plain, the shortstop who just made that great play to end the inning, Mackenzie Fredlund, and the second baseman, Claudia Lammers, to face Sawkins. Tess Sawkins out there for her 4th inning of work. She's thrown 41 pitches so far. And still has 9 left if they want to have her available for Sunday. If she throws 10 more pitches, then this will be her last appearance of the tournament. Quick check on the scoreboard over from the other field. They are into the bottom of the second. Still no score between Manitoba and Quebec 2. And again, BC coming into this game with a record of 2-0. Saskatchewan 1-1. Quebec 2 is 1-1. And Manitoba 0-2. All kinds of potential scenarios depending on how these 2 games play out as to which 2 teams will head towards the quarterfinals for the championship bracket, and which 2 teams will head in to the placement bracket. That one fouled off first base side, and it will fall in for a strike. So Plain 0 for 1, or 0 and 1 on the count, and is also 0 for 1 on the day as she grounded out to third her first time up. Plain from Saskatoon swings and misses, or swings and fouls that one off, and the count 0-2. Plain 16 years old. That one misses down low, and the count goes to 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's the pitch. That one catches the top of the zone. Plain clot looking. And that's the 5th strikeout for Sawkins, bringing up Mackenzie Fredlund. Fredland 0 for 1. She grounded out to the first baseman unassisted her first time up. And Fredland also from Saskatoon. Thought about swinging there, but held up as the pitch misses low, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch also misses low. And Fredland ahead in the count now, 2-0. There's a strike. And the count goes to 2-1 on the shortstop for Saskatchewan. She also spends some time on the mound. I mentioned she pitched 5 innings in the start yesterday. Takes a strike there, and the count now 2-2. And that was pitch 49 or pitch 50. I believe it was pitch 49 according to what we see over there, but it looks like we are going to have the pitching change happen now just to be on the safe side, as one of the coaches out onto the mound to make the change, another coach going over and talking everything over with the umpire. And we'll try and get it all sorted out for you here, as Sawkins is getting a different glove. Somebody's coming out of the game, trying to figure out who's going where. And I think the BC players are all trying to figure out who's going where as well, as there are 10 of them out on the field right now, 4 in the outfield, 4 infielders, and the new pitcher. We can tell you this much. The new pitcher is Jacqueline Chernin. So Chernin is on the mound. We know that much. She was not in the original batting order, so we don't know which spot she's taking just yet. And there still seems to be some confusion even amongst the BC coaches as they're looking over their sheet trying to figure out who's doing what and what's where and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, you've got 5 BC players standing in the infield, 4 BC players standing in the outfield. Or no, now there's just 3 in the outfield. Coming out is Grayson, who was the extra hitter. Sawkins is now in center field. Tam has left. So I think, and I'm guessing here, I will freely admit that I'm going to write this in pencil. Chernin is taking Tam's spot in the batting order, I think. But we are going to keep that in pencil. Sawkins has gone from pitcher to center field. We know that much. Chernin is now pitching. And yes, our home plate umpire is going over all of that with our official scorekeeper. So hopefully we will get that information passed on to us in just a moment as well. Meanwhile, we can tell you that, yes, Kladko's still standing at first. Yes, Padgham is still standing at third, or at short, rather. Wong is still at third base. Simikak is not, or McKinley is now moved from right field to second base. And the next pitch to Fredland, as it was a 2-2 count when all of this happened, is a ball, and now it's a 3-2 count. And a grounder through the middle for a single for Fredland. And when that happened, we saw that Rachel Tam did not leave the game. Tam moved from center field to right field. So Simikak came out of the game. So Chernin goes into her spot in the batting order. Meanwhile, while we're still trying to figure all that out, Lammers is up at the plate with 1 on and 1 out, and she takes a ball. Pretty sure we got this straightened away, and we'll break it all down after the catch made by Chernin for the second out of the inning on the pop into foul territory. So let's set the defense for you now. Russo is still in left. Sawkins is now in center, and Tam is in right. Third base is still Wong, Padgham at short. Second base is now McKinley. First base is still Kladko. Behind the mound is still Lawson. And on the mound is Chernin. The extra hitter remains Cameron Grayson. Everybody get all that? Good. There'll be a quiz later. That pitch to the next batter, which is Lauren Owens, misses high. Owens singled her first time up. The 17-year-old from Saskatoon takes a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Mackenzie Fredland standing at first base. 2 away here, top of the 4th inning. That one misses high, and the count goes 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Grounded, knocked down nicely there, but not in time to get an out, as McKinley was able to keep the ball in the infield, but the first baseman, Kladko, had also dove for it. So when McKinley got up, there was no one to throw to, as the pitcher, Chernin, hadn't been able to get over to first base in time. So it ends up being an infield single. That'll bring up Arthur, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Arthur, another Saskatoon-based player, grounds that one on the left side of the infield. Throw across from the third baseman. Wong gets the third out of the inning. So no runs on 2 hits. No errors and 2 runners left on base. We've played 3.5, and BC still in the lead there, 1-0. Due up in the top of the 4th. It'll be Padgham, I believe Chernin, and then Wong. As we get ready for the bottom of the 4th inning. Still throwing warm-up pitches is Plain. Just about set to begin that bottom of the inning. And Rain Padgham ready to lead off. Padgham walked to lead off the bottom of the 1st. came around to score what is the only run of the game so far. Padgham, 14 years old, from Abbotsford, with the very distinctive, easy to identify pink hair coming out of the back of the helmet. Padgham has been wearing that hair in that style with that color since she was just 6 years old, according to the little bio sheet we get them to write out. Grounder through the middle, and Padgham gets on base for the second straight time, this time by way of the hit. And that'll bring up Chernin, as we do get confirmation that she is indeed taking the second spot in the batting order. So Chernin making her first plate appearance in this game. Chernin 1 for 3 with a run scored. Comes up here with one on and nobody out. Throw over to first. And Padgham able to get back in safely. Another look over there from Plain. Now the pitch. Showing bunt. Pulls the bat back. Throw down to second. And in with the steal is Padgham. And I believe that was called ball one. As Plain gets herself set with one on. Now on second base, Plain will step off, leading Padgham to head back to the bag. Now the pitch. That misses high. Ball two. 2-0 the count. As Chernin stands in. Swing and a miss on a nice breaking ball there from Plain, as she had Chernin swinging right over top of that one. And the count goes to 2-1. Long look over to the third base coach from Chernin to get the signs. Now she steps in, ready to go. Plain delivers. Runner going. Throw down to third. Not quite in time. So 2 steals by Padgham put her on third base, and the count is now 3-1. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. Grounded to the second baseman. Over to first in time as BC trades an out for a run. RBI for Chernin as she grounds into the out. Padgham comes in to score her second run and the second run of the game. That'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong with an RBI single her first time up. Wong from Chilliwack, BC. There's a grounder. Gets through the third baseman as Wilms couldn't find the handle on that one. And that will set things up for Lawson. Lawson from Surrey, BC. Lawson, 16 years old. Comes up here with Wong on first. And still just one away. BC leading it 2-0. There's a strike to Lawson. And so Plain ahead in the count 0-1. The 0-1 pitch popped out to center. Getting camped underneath it there is Tarasov for the second out. And that'll bring up Grayson. Cameron Grayson struck out her first time up. Grayson, another resident of Surrey, 15 years old, playing for Team BC here. Comes on with 1 on, 2 out, and BC leading it 2-0 after Padgham singled, stole second, stole third, and came home on the ground out by Chernin. Takes a ball outside, does Grayson, and the count goes to 1-0. As a strong wind blowing from right to left, little bit in from right field, but mostly across towards left. Pitch misses outside, ball 2-0. As what started as a pretty gray day here in Bedford, now the sun working its way through a few clear spots in the sky. There's a called strike, and the count goes to 2-1. That's my far from expert weather analysis. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. Fouled off, and the count goes to 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 away. And before the at-bat resumes, Grayson getting a quick chat from her third base coach. Now she's ready to step back in. And Plain ready to deliver. Here comes the pitch from Plain. That misses outside. And the count runs full, 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Wong will be going with the pitch. She has to make sure that Plain actually delivers to the plate before she goes. She does. And as Plain delivers, Grayson swings through for strike 3. 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Plain, but British Columbia does put 1 more run on the board. They get 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 error and 1 runner left on base. We've played 4 complete. British Columbia leading it 2-0 over Saskatchewan, due up for Saskatchewan in the 5th. It will be Wilms, Johnson, and then back around to the top of the order for Tarasov. As we take another quick look at the I keep calling it the out-of-town scoreboard. I started doing that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but now it comes out just out of force of habit. Even though it's, 50 feet away, the other field, and it's far from being out of town. Manitoba and Quebec, they're in the bottom of the 3rd inning in that game. And the score still is 0-0. And taking a quick look around to see no changes defensively since the previous, or is that a different catcher now back? No, that's still Lawson back there. So yes, no changes defensively since the last inning. So we're good to go here, knowing who's where. And Wilms will be the first batter for Saskatchewan. Jacene Wilms. Wilms from Moosomin, Saskatchewan, 15 years old. And the first pitch to Wilms misses a little bit high, ball 1. 1-0 the count on Wilms. Now 2-0 as Chernin continues to pitch for Team BC. Throwing from the full windup. Kind of a 3/4 slinging delivery as she leads quite a bit with the elbow before the rest of the arm comes through. There's a strike on the 3-0 pitch, as Wilms thought it was ball 4, but not to be. It is strike 1, 3-1 now the count. And here comes the 3-1 pitch. Grounded just foul down the third baseline, and that will make it 3-2. Wilms, the right-hander, stepping back in to face the right-hander Chernin. That pitch misses high, ball 4, and Wilms earns a leadoff walk. That'll bring up Amy Johnson. Johnson, the 16-year-old from Saskatoon, stepping in with 1 on, nobody out here in the 5th. Right fielder Tam shifted way over towards the line here. And Sawkins in center shaded slightly towards right. The left fielder, Russo, shaded a little bit towards left center. And now we're going to have a pinch runner as Wilms will come out for Hebert. Callie Hebert stepping in as the pinch runner for Wilms. And Johnson takes the first pitch strike, 0-1 the count. Hebert, the 16-year-old from Saskatoon, takes her lead off of first after entering the game as a pinch runner. Good secondary lead, but not going. The pitch misses high, and the count goes to 1-1. That one misses high as well, and it's now 2-1 on Johnson. The left-handed hitting catcher for Saskatchewan ahead in the count here. With 1 on, nobody out. 2-0 in favor of Team BC here as we play the top of the 5th. And that one ends up catching Johnson on the hip, putting runners at first and second with nobody out, and back around to the top of the order for Tarasov. Tarasov 1 for 2 with a double and a strikeout so far. Tarasov says she plans to become a veterinarian after she finishes high school. Sends that one way up high into the air, and coming in off of the mound to make the catch is Chernin for the first out of the inning. I believe the infield fly rule had been called anyway with only 1 out. That'll bring up Kira Comfort. Comfort 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout. Comfort, a multi-sport athlete, provincial champion in javelin 2 years in a row, as well as a badminton provincial champion, and representing the province here in baseball. That one fouled off and just missing the parked cars. That one a shot out to right field. What a catch there by Tam. And they'll double off the Saskatchewan runner as Johnson thought that was going to fall in for a hit, but Tam says no dice. The double play, 9-3 on the putout. So Saskatchewan get 2 runners on with nobody out, but not able to convert. No runs, no hits, no errors, and just 1 runner left on base. And we've played 4.5 with British Columbia leading it 2-0. Due up in the bottom of the 5th, it'll be Sawkins, Russo, and Tam. And if anyone gets on, then Kladko. And we see that Wilms has re-entered the game at third base after being taken out for the pinch runner. So Wilms still at first base or at third base. The rest of the defense also still the status quo. As we just take a quick scan around the field to make sure that that is indeed the case. And it is, heading towards the bottom of the 5th here. Again, a quick update on the score from the other game. They're into the top of the 4th inning there. Both of these games moving at a really good pace. So much so that if that game next door continues to go as quickly as it's going, they might be able to get their 6 o'clock game back started on time, despite being a bit late getting the 3 o'clock game started. They're in the top of the 4th, still no score between Manitoba and Quebec. That's Quebec 2. While here we're into the bottom of the 5th, with BC leading it 2-0. And that's one thing we've had in this particular group, lots of close games. Even the game that Saskatchewan won 9-2 over Manitoba, that score really belied how close that game was. Likewise, BC's win over Manitoba, it was 2-0 going into the 7th. BC scored 5 more in the top of the 7th to break it open, make it 7-0, but it really was such a close game all the way throughout. First pitch to Sawkins misses outside, ball 1. As Sawkins comes up 0 for 1 with the ground out. Her first time up, the 15-year-old from Victoria. Sends that one out to right field deep. It'll hit the base of the wall. And Sawkins will get in with a stand-up double. A lead-off double for the 15-year-old from Victoria. And that'll bring up Amelia Russo. Russo from Kelowna. Coming in, going 0 for 1, striking out in her first at-bat. As this is about to be pitch number 51 for Plain. And there's a grounder that gets through the middle, out to center field. Stopping at third is Sawkins. So runners on the corners after back-to-back hits with nobody out. And that'll bring up Rachel Tam. She's 0 for 1. And by virtue of pitch number 51 there, this will be the only day that Plain will be eligible to pitch. She'll be required to have at least 2 days rest, and I suppose if she stops in 15 more pitches, she'd be eligible for a game on Monday if we had to extend the tournament because of weather and whatnot. Knock on wood that does not happen. There's a shot out to deep left field. Comfort back to make the catch. A strong throw in, but they're not going to be able to have a play at the plate. So a sac fly RBI for Rachel Tam. Drives in British Columbia's third run. Russo has to stay at first, and Kladko will come up. She flew out to left her first time at the plate. Kladko from Vancouver. And now I think they're going to appeal down to third to see if the runner left early. And the indication is not that she did not. So 3-0 now the scoreline in favor of British Columbia after the sac fly RBI for Rachel Tam. Tam now with 7 RBI on the tournament, leading the team. That pitch to Kladko misses high, ball 1. 1-0 the count on Kladko. The left-hander standing in, ready to get the pitch from the right-hander. Plain shows, bunt, squares, gets contact, throw down to first, off target. That will allow Russo to get all the way around third. She's going to try and come for home. Throw to the plate, not in time. So a big throwing error there by Plain allows Russo to come all the way around to score. It's now 4-0, and Kladko gets all the way to third on the play, bringing up Vanessa McKinley with still just 1 out. And a big, big error there as that throw was off target and all the way out to right field. McKinley 0 for 1 with the ground out from Burnaby, BC. This one popped up, foul territory first base side. Owens gets over and makes the catch for out number 2. And back around to the top of the order for Padgham. Padgham was part of Team Canada prospects at the Senior Women's Invitational Tournament at the age of just 13. That was earlier this summer before she had her 14th birthday. And Padgham will be given first base with the intentional walk. That'll put runners on the corners for Chernin. 2 away, runners on the corners. And Chernin coming up for her second at-bat of this game, the 16-year-old from Vancouver. Runner going on the first pitch, fouled off, and the count goes to 0-1. Seemed kind of odd that they would walk Padgham in that situation with a runner on third but second base empty, since it is so often that with runners on the corners, that runner from first base goes, just like happened here. And it then puts runners at second and third. Unless I was looking down and I missed something somewhere along the way, which is highly possible. The 1-1 pitch. That misses high, ball 2, 2-1. As we play here in the bottom of the 5th inning. That one line just over the head of the second baseman, Lammers. If she was about 6'6", she might have had a shot at that one. But unfortunately for her and the rest of Team Saskatchewan, that one a little bit too high over her head. A 2-run single for Chernin, and it's now 6-0 for Team BC. Padgham and Kladko both come in to score. Still 2 away. Wong now up to bat. Throw over to first. And Chernin able to get back. Wong 1 for 2 with an RBI single and reached on an error. Wong plays varsity volleyball as well as baseball and won provincials as a volleyball player. Fouled that pitch back. The count goes to 0-1. The 0-1 pitch sent out to right field. Hustling to get over to it, but not able to make the catch was Arthur. It gets past her all the way to the wall. Heading home is Chernin. And she gets in safely. An RBI double for Wong. She takes third on the throw home. Chernin scores all the way from first on the hit. And that'll bring up Lozen. And time is called. While not sure why time got called. We've got, actually they're just, okay, I see why time was called. It was so that our home plate umpire could go and double check, as the score now has hit 7-0 for British Columbia. 5 runs so far in this inning, with Wong standing at second base and Lozen at the plate. 0 for 2 with a couple of pop-outs, but it's not going to be Lozen batting, as we're going to see. Or what kind of changes are we seeing for BC here? No, there is going to be a pinch hitter. It's going to be Ella Duncan-Rita coming in to pinch hit. Although, if it's just a straight pinch hitter, why are we spending this much time talking it over? So while all of this is going on, let's reset the stage for you here. It is 7-0 right now for British Columbia. 2 away, a runner on third, and a pinch hitter, Ella Duncan-Rita, about to step in. And so as Rita steps in to take her first at-bat of the game, we'll tell you that Duncan-Rita on the tournament is 0 for 2. She's also got 2 walks. So she's been on base 2 of 4 plate appearances. Sends that one out to right field. And this time the catch is made, as Arthur able to get over to get to that ball before it drops in. But BC put 5 more on the board. 5 runs on 4 hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. We've played 5 complete, and British Columbia now lead it 7-0. Coming up in the top of the 6th, it'll be Plain, Fredland, and Lammers. And if anyone gets on, then Owens. As we look around to see what other changes might have been made, Tam is still in right. Sawkins is still in center. Still the same left fielder as well over there with Russo. Kladko still at first. McKinley still at second. Padgham still at short. Wong still at third. And Duncan Rita, after pinch hitting for Lozen, will stay in the game and catch. And Chernin still on the mound. So it was just a straight pinch hitter and then staying in to play catcher. So again, I don't quite understand why that took that long to explain. But nonetheless, that's where we are. So we head to the 6th inning with Saskatchewan now trailing 7-0. And looking to start the comeback here with Clara Plain leading off the top of the 6th. Meanwhile, in the game right next door, they're into the bottom of the 4th, still looking for the first run of the game in that one. And it will break down all the potentials again here in just a moment. Plain first off takes a first pitch ball. She's 0 for 2 on the game after grounding out in the first, striking out in the third. That pitch misses high as well, and the count now 2-0. Plain pitched a one-hit shutout in Swift Current in a previous pitching appearance. Count now 2-1 on Plain. Plans to go to med school when she attends university. That one misses high. And the count 3-1 on the Saskatchewan pitcher and right-handed hitter. Chernin out there on the mound, continuing her work. That one misses high, ball 4. And the leadoff walk to possibly start the rally here for Team Saskatchewan. That'll bring up Mackenzie Fredland. Fredland 1 for 2. Grounded out in the second, singled in the fourth. Fredland will be heading to Bolivia in April for a mission trip with her grade 11 class. That sounds pretty cool. Also plays volleyball and basketball for her high school. You see it time and time again on these bio sheets that we get from these players, how many of them are multi-sport athletes. There's a line shot right at Cladco. Double play unassisted. And it's just been that kind of a game for Saskatchewan. I don't know if Fredland could have hit that ball any harder, but right at the glove of Cladco, and that'll bring up Claudia Lammers. She's 0 for 2, grounding out and popping out. Lammers pulling double duty for Team Saskatchewan this year, representing the 14U and 16U teams for the green and white. That one misses high, and the count 2-0 on Lammers. Saskatchewan just not able to buy a break in this one. A hard hit ball by Fredland, but Cladco with a great grab. And even if Plain had her first break towards first instead of second, she still wouldn't have been back in time. There's a 4-pitch walk to Lammers as she gets on. That'll bring up Lauren Owens. Owens 2 for 2 with a pair of singles so far. And before we get to Owens, we'll have a quick meeting at the mound. And we'll get a pitching change, as I do believe it's Lawson coming in to pitch. Actually, I don't think Lawson can come in to pitch while Duncan Rita is still behind the plate, because Duncan Rita is in that spot. No, okay, it isn't. So Simicak comes back in, re-enters in the number 2 spot in the batting order and takes over on the mound. So it's just a straight swap, or it appears to be just a straight swap, but again, the BC coach going over and explaining things to the umpire, but it seems pretty straightforward. Cheyenne Simicak making her first pitching appearance for Team BC. Re-entering the game there in the 2 spot in the batting order, replacing Chernin, who had replaced her earlier in the game. So the final line, we'll just see if we'll try and get you that line on Chernin momentarily. As the first pitch to Owens misses for a ball. And there's a strike, and the count 1-1 on Owens. As mentioned, she's 2 for 2. Owens from Saskatoon hopes to go to med school as well. There's a grounder to short, picked up by Padgham. Throw to first, off target. That will allow Lammers to get over to third. So Owens reaches on the throwing error. Lammers all the way around to third. That puts runners on the corners with 2 out. And Jocelyn Arthur due up. Arthur, another multi-sport athlete. Her other sport, target shooting. Arthur 0 for 2, struck out in the second, grounded out in the fourth. Takes the first pitch high, ball 1. Runners on the corners, 2 away here. 7-0 in favor of Team BC. Top of inning number 6. That one misses low, 2-0 the count. If BC hold on and win this game, they'll finish Pool B 3-0 and will have first place in the pool. Saskatchewan will drop to 1-2. And depending on the outcome of Manitoba and Quebec, a number of things can happen. Quebec now has the lead in that game in the bottom of the 4th, and if that score holds, Quebec would finish second with a record of 2-1. And what a catch by Sawkins, coming in and making the sliding catch for out number 3. Last year, in a game between these same 2 teams, we saw a brilliant catch made by Kira Comfort. This year, in a game between these same 2 teams, a beautiful catch by the BC center fielder Sawkins, excuse me, for the third out here in the top of the 6th. No runs. No hits, 1 error, 2 runners left on base, and we've played 5.5. BC still leading at 7-0. Due up in the bottom of the 6th, it'll be Grayson Sawkins, who just made that great catch, and then Russo. As we take a quick scan around the diamond, and it looks like Saskatchewan still holding with the status quo defensively. Yes, Wilms did re-enter, and it is the same 9 defensive unit for Saskatchewan as it has been since the start of the game. So it will be Grayson scheduled to lead off, although it looks like that may be a pinch hitter up there. We'll have to wait and get confirmation of that. as we get ready for the bottom of the 6th inning. We're just double checking. That is Maxie Lloyd coming in as the new extra hitter. So Lloyd getting her first plate appearance for Lloyd in this game. She's 1 for 1 in her only previous plate appearance, had a single. Takes the first pitch high, ball 1. 1-0 the count on Lloyd. There's a grounder to second, gathered up. Over to first in time. And one quick out there in the bottom of the 6th. That'll bring up Sawkins, who made that great catch to end the top of the 6th. Now she comes up with a chance to get a rally going here in the bottom of the 6th. Sawkins 1 for 2, a double and a run scored back in the 5th inning. Sawkins plans to study criminology in university. Grounder down to the first baseman. Owen's able to pick up and get the bag herself. So 2 quick outs here in the 6th, and that'll bring up Amelia Russo. Russo going into grade 10 at Rutland Senior Secondary in Kelowna. 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. Takes the first pitch low, ball 1. And it looks like Plain right now at 68 pitches, so she's still got a few left to work with. Could very well finish off a complete game here. That one sent out to center field. Going back and making a nice catch of her own is Tarasov. As we saw, anything you can do, I can do better kind of thing out there between the 2 center fielders in the 6th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We've played 6 complete. British Columbia leading at 7-0. Saskatchewan need to put a touchdown up on the board in the top of the 7th, and it's going to be up to Wilms, Johnson, and Tarasov to get the rally going. And if they do get it started, Comfort due up 4th. Just a 5-pitch inning for Clara Plain. She's at just 69 pitches. So if Saskatchewan does come back and force BC to have to hit in the bottom of the 7th, she can go out there and still has plenty of room to do some work. Meanwhile, they're into the top of the 5th over next door. Quebec 2 leading it 3-0. Again, if both of these scores hold, BC will finish 3-0, Quebec will finish 2-1, and both of those teams will move into the quarterfinals on the championship side of the bracket. Manitoba will finish 0-3, and Saskatchewan would finish 1-2, and they would move into the 7 through 12 placement side of the bracket when we get into placement games starting tomorrow. Again, that's if these scores hold. And you got to put that if with the capital I and a capital F beside it. So we've seen some big inning rallies in these tournaments so far. Saskatchewan will need one here. Manitoba will need a little bit of offense as well as they're playing Quebec. Manitoba not trailing by nearly as much, but they are down 3-0. And first pitch swinging is Wilms, and the ball handcuffs Padgham. So Wilms will get in with a leadoff reach on an error, and that'll bring up Amy Johnson. Johnson 0 for 1. She struck out in the second, was hit by a pitch in the fifth. Comes up here with one on and nobody out here in the seventh. Saskatchewan looking to need 7 runs to try and keep this game going. First pitch to Johnson in for a strike, and the count goes to 0-1. That one in for a strike as well, as the count goes to 0-2. That one popped up into right center field. Coming over, making the catch is Sawkins for the first out. And that'll bring us back around to the top of the order. Caitlin Tarasov. Tarasov doubled back in the third. She's 1 for 3. That one misses low, and the count goes to 1-0 on Tarasov. As I'm quickly trying to read the tiebreaker rules, if BC holds on to win and if Manitoba comes back to win, then there'd be a 3-way tie between Quebec 2, that is, Manitoba and Saskatchewan at 1 and 2. And then we'd have to get into all kinds of mathematical formulae and whatnot. And the first one would be ratio of runs against per defensive inning, and so it would depend in part on how that plays out. But again, that is all dependent on Manitoba coming back in that game against Quebec. That brings up Kira Comfort, but before we get to Comfort, we're going to get a quick meeting out at the mound here. Comfort 0 for 3 as she grounded out, struck out, and flew out in her 3 previous plate appearances. 2 on, 1 away here in the top of inning number 7. Wilms at second, Tarasov at first. As we play here in the top of the 7th, this game just flying by. We've only been going for an hour and 35 minutes. There's a strike. And Simikak ahead in the count. Now she's ahead 0-2. As Simikak gets herself set. Swing and a miss. And there's a strikeout for out number 2, and that'll bring up Clara Plain. Plain 0 for 2 with a ground out, a strikeout. She's also walked once and comes up with 2 away. That pitch misses low and outside, ball 1. Again, if BC wins this one, they finish pool play with a perfect 3-0 record. So their aspect of things is resolved. They know they will be in the quarterfinals, and they know they would play a quarterfinal game against Nova Scotia 2. And that is where they will be tomorrow morning. Team British Columbia finishes off the victory with the catch made there by Simikak for the third out. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. The final score, British Columbia with the 7-0 victory over Saskatchewan. They go to 3-0 in pool play. Saskatchewan drops to 1-2, and they have to wait and find out the outcome of the game between Quebec and Manitoba before they know their fate. We'll stick around for the handshakes and the presentation of the players of the game, and then we'll take a break and get you ready for our final game of the night. That'll be Alberta and Quebec 1, scheduled for a 6:30 start. When you're talking about players of the game, looking at, for me, the two center fielders for those two incredible catches. Sawkins also had a great outing on the mound as a starter for British Columbia before making that great catch out in center field. Tarasov had a good day at the plate as well as that great catch out in center field for her. So both of those players certainly deserving some consideration. You'd have to look at Chernin and the performance she had out on the mound as a consideration for BC as well. For Saskatchewan, another player you could look at is Johnson for her work behind the plate. But I think if I were the one making the decision, which I am not, I'm just throwing my 2 cents in there, I'd be looking at Sawkins and Tarasov as my possible choices as we wrap up the handshakes and get ready for the announcement of those players of the game. And again, our next game will be Alberta and Quebec 1, and that'll be a 6:30 start here on Joan Lenahan. And it is Clara Plain who pitched a complete game and had a very good effort on the mound. She had a couple of things not quite go her way. And Keegan Wong, the third baseman for BC, named player of the game. She had a pretty good game at the hot corner as well as a good day at the plate. So there you have it. Wong and Plain are your players of the game. And that will do it for this one. The final score, once again, British Columbia finishes off round-robin play with a record of 3-0. They will play Nova Scotia 2 in one of the quarterfinals tomorrow. Saskatchewan finishes pool play at 1-2. They have to wait until the end of the game between Quebec and Manitoba to know what their fate will be. Until about an hour and 20 minutes or so from now, this is Michael Petter saying, may your pitches hit the corners, may your liners hit the gaps. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with you in a little over an hour.